Hey, everybody. Welcome to Ask Steve Show. That's Steve Edwards. My name's Dave Shrine. Steve's the Mule Man. I'm the Mule Guy, and we are here to talk mules and donkeys for the next 60 minutes. Of course, if you've been here before, you know how this works. You ask the questions, we give you answers so you can get out there, gain the trust of your animal, get results. Folks ask the question all the time, how do I form a good relationship with my mule? How do I have some good trust with my donkey? And I'll tell you what, the starting point is establishing herd leadership. They want leadership. And if they don't get that leadership from you, they're going to look everywhere else until they can find it. So we want to help you establish yourself as the leader, because that is going to transform that relationship into a trusting, working relationship. Is it going to be without problems? No, you're going to have problems. Is it going to be without some frustrating times? No, there's going to be some frustrating times. But this program exists to give you a solution to the problems and minimize the frustration so that it's fun and enjoyable. And no matter what's going on in your life, you're able to get out there and have a retreat from all of the pressures and the stress of the past and look forward to a future that is full of possibility. Possibilities on the trail, possibilities around the house. Steve, you've always seemed to got plenty of possible things Susan wants you to work on. You have any honey-do list this week you've been working on?
Shoot, I still got leftovers from last year. You know, these women can find more things to do than you can imagine, But we'll get through them, especially when we know some of them's real important. We get right after those, But we just come back from Texas.
Hey, Texas. What was the what part of Texas were you in? I know folks are going to ask.
The northeastern part of Texas,
Okay.
around Nacogdoches and Henderson, in through there.
How was it?
It was cold.
Was it
Wasn't too
icy
bad.
at all?
Yeah. No,
Okay.
nothing like that. That was coming. I mean, over there right now, they probably got snow and this sort of thing, but evidently they don't get a lot of bad weather in this area. But golly, they got these things, they call them trees. They're big, tall things, and they're green, got leaves on them, and them leaves, though, are all over the place, We got leaves on our trees, but you don't hardly know it when they hit the ground. But anyway,
It's called
that's what we did.
seasons, Steve. It's called seasons. They've got what we call seasons. And out here in Arizona, we have season, just desert.
Rattlesnakes. Yeah.
Rattlesnake
We
season.
yeah, yeah. We know when winter's coming on, the lizards are gone and the rattlesnakes are gone. Then we know winter's coming there. And like right now, I'm looking at a road runner, and he ain't gonna find too many lizards, right now. But then come spring, we know that it's coming spring because the quail are going cuckoo, cuckoo, and they start having babies all over the place, and man, that's what it looks like for us.
When's the last time you ate rattlesnake?
Oh, it's probably been a couple years now. Yeah, we actually it's we just had the fire department just went and got a big one. That was in. They were doing a bunch of work over here, and
Yeah.
this rattlesnake was back in the a bunch of blocks. That rattlesnake was about that big around. Biggest,
Golly.
probably the biggest has had 12 rattlers on him.
That was the first
Yeah.
time that you first time I ever hung out with you. We walked over the hill, down from the ranch area, over the hill to the house. And we were walking down, and you're like, Dave, look at this. And there was a rattler right on the back porch. And you grabbed a hoe and you whacked his face off, or you whacked his head off. You buried his head in the sand, held up the body, and you go, them's good eating right there. I was like, my golly, I am not in the city anymore. Folks, so glad that you are here. Steve and I are here. I want to say hello to Marcia, watching from a very cold and snowy Virginia, down to 0 tonight. I got a question today, Steve, about keeping the animals warm. We'll get to that. Linda is watching from Portal, Arizona, where it says it's 43, but it was in the teens this AM, and I have not recovered. That's spoken like a true Arizonan right there. Polly from Barnesville, Minnesota, warmed up to 6 from negative 25 this morning. So, yay, yeah. So the heat wave coming through there. Everyone roll down the windows in Minnesota. Linda says, oh, first question of the day. Do you have a how to put on all the equipment for riding video for my Molly Mule in one of your videos? Yes, Linda, we do. This is absolutely free, and if you know anything, we love giving away free things. It's the Mule Saddle Training Course. It's Mastering the Mule Saddle. Mule Saddle Training Course. It
Is this
actually
Linda
takes you
Gordon?
through. What's that?
Is this Linda Gordon?
Um,
Linda Gordon?
it does not tell me the last name. It just says Linda.
Well, we send saddle fit videos with every saddle that we sell. Every one of them. But when people buy used ones, we want to make sure they get things rigged up good. So we'll send them videos anyway.
Yeah.
Simply because we want to help them out.
Yeah, so take a look. When you send in an email too with your email address. That way I can assign the email or the videos to your particular account. But if you just log in with your account already free as the Mule Saddle Training Course, it's let's see here. It's 13 videos, and the longest video is Steve putting on the saddle and then watching the mule move and then making adjustments to the saddle. That's exactly what you're looking for. And then, of course, depending on if you need the saddle fit videos, let us know and we'll get those to you too. So good to hear from you there, Linda. Theodore is watching from Missouri. Leslie's watching from the Gulf of Mexico on the Mariner of the Sea. I think there's Gulf of Mexico. Is that what it's called? I think it's the Gulf of America now.
It's going to be the Gulf of America shortly.
There we go. Okay, but when I get back, I need to worm my mules. Are there any tricks? They are difficult. Is any tricks here for worming, Steve?
Oh yeah, you gotta. My favorite thing is to first teach them to drop their head, tip their nose to left, just like you do to put on a bridle or anything else. And then you take your middle finger, this one here, and you rub on the inside of the bars, and that makes it feel good. And they put their head down and they get to relaxing. And then while they're thinking about that, you take that paste and shoot it up there really quick, and that's one way to do it. The other way is to use your come along hitch. Okay, everybody will tell you that come along hitch. If you got vet work, if you got shoeing deals, if you got communication problems, everything that works, get that come along hitch. Because here's the biggest thing: you got to stop their feet. All right. So there's two ways, and here's the third way. The third way is this, and that is my How to Doctor kit, and it's got a humane twitch in it that I use, and you'll see in the video. Here's this mule that doesn't want his eye worked with, and he keeps throwing his head. And finally, we put the twitch on it, and we create natural endorphins. We get him to relax, and he relaxes really good. And then we go ahead and doctor him. Use that same process for giving him worming, for problems with shoeing, things like that. But your come along hitch, anytime you're going to do any kind of taking them out of the corrals, get that come along hitch, okay? And just it's going. Remember now, it's going to be your timing. So you're going to go up first with your finger, and you're going to have the come along hitch with your right hand, all right, or your left hand, whichever one you usually use, and you're going to rub up around the mouth, rub, and then you're going to take your finger and stick up in the corner of their mouth. Now, if they go to move, bump, get your finger out of there, bump, and they go back to rubbing again. Pretty soon they'll learn that their flight and fright instinct is not working with you, the herd leader, all right? And it does take time, but don't just go up there and give them the paste wormer. Don't do that. Prepare them. What foundation is doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go up the steps to do something. Saddling, riding, picking up the feet. Training is just you throw it on. You just do it. See, I don't do that. Build a foundation. Go short, small, rub around the corner of the mouth, rub your finger in the mouth, rub around in there, make it feel good. And remember, in the back, there's going to be a few teeth. There's going to be some molars. But up toward the front, you can rub the bars of the mouth. That makes them quiet. And there you go. You can use, there's a lot of different wormers, but make sure you change your wormers every year. Now, you kind of early, I don't know if I'd be worming this time of the year. I usually worm in the spring and the fall, but I'll leave that up to you. You know your country.
So earlier this week, I saw a chat that came through on Google. You mentioned the come along rope. And in the chat, they said, the one problem I have with Queen Valley Mule Ranch is everything is an advertisement for the come along rope. And I replied back, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. For $24, you get a direct line of communication to your animal. You get to communicate with them exactly the way that they understand. And the second that you own it, it's no longer an advertisement. It's a pathway to results. So yes, we talk about that's the only time, the first video. So a lot of you folks were not watching back in 2018 or 17, whenever we started this. But after the first program, Steve and I were talking off the live stream. He goes, "Now, Dave, you mentioned a lot of the products, and I'm fine if we mention them, but I don't want this to be an advertisement. I don't want this to be a commercial. I want to help people. I want to answer their questions. We don't have to be mentioning all the products left and right." I said, "Okay, that's good." Right off the bat, this is meant to help people. However, I told Steve, I said, honestly, we have to tell people to get the come along rope, because if they're not using the come along rope, it's just an effort, it's just an exercise in futility. They're not going to be communicating. So I started saying the only product we are going to encourage you to buy is the come along rope. And then we put together the ground foundation starting kit because it came with an instructional video so that you could get the most out of it. But yeah, that come along rope is going to come in handy for just about everything you're going to want to do. And the results speak for themselves. So that's a great question. Thanks so much for sending that in there. And let's see here. Dave O'Brien, San Antonio, on vacation at 41 degrees. Just a dusting of snow last night. It says San Antonio. I was like, that's not usually where Dave O'Brien is watching from. So he's on vacation there, remembering the Alamo. Let's see here. Merlin from Northwest Minnesota. Cold and snow today with a high of 42. With the wind factor, it's negative 35. Yesterday, we had a low of negative 35 with the wind factor of negative 47. The high yesterday was 20. So it's a horror story going on out there in Northwest Minnesota. Hopefully some of this Barnesville, Minnesota heat wave will make its way to Merlin. We'll get back up there above the zero. Joe is watching from Central Texas. Cold. We are shivering and shaking. Hopefully we'll warm you up with some mule talk. Hugh is watching from Hamilton, Ontario, which means we've gone international. Wind chill, minus 30. It's cold, but no blanket on the mule. And here I was thinking, the 30s today in Arizona was cold. I'm going to stop complaining. Joan, Buffalo Creek, Colorado. Beautiful, brisk day. Linda says, thank you. No, this is Linda Pretty, and I have one of your saddles. Thank you, Linda. Appreciate that. Hey, Marty Ray, Shelbyville, Tennessee. That reminds me, Steve, we've been in Shelbyville towards the end of last year, but you're actually going to be in Tennessee again April 3rd through 6th. This is Columbia, Tennessee. Tell me what you're going to be doing there.
Yep, got an invitation to go there. We're setting up for clinics, and it's all free. Yes, free. And I'm going to be there. And yes, we're going to have saddles there. We're going to have bits there. We're going to be asking questions. People always want to know if I'm going to have some saddles there, So yep, we're going to have those there. And just before that, that clinic, we've got another clinic that's not about 2 hours from there, And so it's going to be a little bit. It's going to be a lot of fun. Marty Ray Gordon, I think he's going to be there. I think he was mentioning him. And Marty Ray, he's the one that did the American Mule and Bluegrass Festival there in Shelbyville, and he goes and and goes to a lot of these rides and this sort of thing, and does some training and some clinics and this sort of thing. Met him about 15 years ago, but anyway, we're going to be we're going to have that clinic, and you all can see the information there. I would say to you, what I've just learned is you need to have reservations yesterday, so to speak, to get in on this stuff, especially the one that's in Tennessee. The other one that's in no, it's not. It's in Alabama. I can't think of. Anyway,
The
we've got it
Seven
on
Springs ride, Seven
Seven
Springs
Springs
Mule
Road.
ride.
Yeah, and that's in Alabama, isn't it?
Yeah, it's in Tuscumbia, Alabama. We've got March 27th through the 30th as the dates.
Yeah,
And I put a link to Mule Day in the comment section. That's the one in Columbia, Tennessee. And then I put a link to the Seven Springs Mule Ride happening in Alabama. That's in the comment section as well. Yeah, like Steve said, get registered for this stuff yesterday, and you won't be left holding your hat in your hand explaining to old Fluffy why you're not having a good mule ride, why you're not having a good time. You're going to have to explain another year of subpar results to old Fluffy. No, I'm just joking with you. You can get good results, but it is a different experience. You can get a good result through these trainings, but if you want that next level experience, if you want that next level hands on, standing right there, real time, this is one of the two. These are two of the opportunities to make that happen. That's real great. So awesome. Good to have you here, Marty Ray. Thank you for saying hello. And I put a link in the comment section, folks, to an awesome interview that we did with Marty Ray all about the American Mule and Bluegrass Festival. This was a year and a half ago now. Still a great interview, still a great program, and I think you all will enjoy it. Cowboy Ken is watching from Connecticut, where it's 15 degrees, cloudy, and a bit of snow on the ground. Theodore says, I worked with my mule with the come-along rope made out of baling twine just for fun. Hey, way to have fun. Get out there, have
yeah,
fun. We do the wax coated, but I guess you can get out there, and that baling twine can do all sorts of things, Steve, right?
yeah, boy, it's like baling wire, but yeah, baling twine. The only problem with baling twine is it's going to be kind of soft. Can you get it done? Yeah, but if you get one on the fight, then you need something with a little bit more bite into it. And one of the reasons that I wax the come along rope is so that, number one, when you're using it on the mule, it doesn't tend to move up and down the nose as quick. The reason it moves up and down the nose, of course, is because of your timing, how you're doing your hands to tell the mule what to do. But uh, I used to use old lariats, and that worked good. And then I developed the rope itself, and then waxed it. I've always tried to better as we went along. So, and once I waxed it, now you can hold on to it with your gloves, and now you can keep it from going up and down the nose. But hey, the main thing is you're using it and you know it works.
That's right. Let's see here. Lane is watching Sunny Winter in the mountains. I got a pack pad from Mountain Ridge. It is the same size of a horse pad. Yeah, Mountain Ridge gear. That's Eric Lynn. He's got a great company. Steve has partnered with Eric for several things. I think it's a mini donkey pack pad. It's all wood sawbuck pack saddle. There's a couple other things that they've partnered on, but yeah, we do recommend Mountain Ridge Gear. It's mountainridgegear.com. Eric's a great guy, and he's a good follow on Instagram as well. Hannah's watching from Florida, 58 and rainy. God bless America. David Scholl watching from the paradise of Australia. It's hot and humid today. David Pengelly, dusting of snow, 25 degrees. Mules loving it. Manchester, Georgia. Hey, David, you see what Steve's got right there? Represent. Represent. Tell the guys. Tell the firefighter department there, Steve's still representing them. Simon is watching from Croatia, Europe. Hey, that's a first for us. Good to have someone from Croatia. Do
Yeah.
you know, are there any good mule breeders in Europe? We've never really talked about that. I'm sure good breeders are all over the place. Any insight, Steve?
I don't have any insight on breeders. I know that in talking with people here and there, they purchased mules in different places, but nobody's ever said to me they got it from so and so breeder, or mule trainer. Nothing like that. Just where they bought individual mules that were problem mules, and then they got them fixed up, and now they're riding. So sorry I can't help you there. I know there's a real good one in Australia, and I know he can send you some AI, and that's artificial insemination. Okay, that's way before AI, like we artificial intelligence. This is artificial insemination, where Dave can send you semen, and you can breed your horse that way, which is far better, far superior than a live breed.
Yeah, so it is Vale Farm Mules. If you want to talk more to David Scholl, he's awesome. Vale Farm Mules. And his Facebook page. He's given permission to us to share his Facebook page. That is the way to reach out to him. Steve, I got a question came in from Ashley. She said, I would love some of your expertise on this. We have 2 mules and a donkey, and I feel like mineral salt liquid. Oh, did we already talk about this?
We've talked about it in the past. I don't know if it's the same one or not, but we can answer it.
She may have emailed in and sent a Facebook. Let's just talk about it. We have 2 mules and a donkey, and I feel like a mineral salt lick would be beneficial in some aspects, but all I've read is that they need different blocks than horses, but no actual info of what to use. Ours are between the ages of 7 and 11, both Mollies and Jacks, and they have 100% grass hay, sometimes a barley mix. If the bales are running in short supply, any product you'd recommend? Yeah, we did this last week, but let's just answer it again.
Let's just do it again. So mineral block is a waste of money. Okay, and I got that directly from manufacturers. It's not from representatives, and I'm not going to give any names out. But the main thing you want to do, yes, your mules and donkeys need minerals. Yes, they do. Okay, and they are getting minerals now and nutrients, of course, but minerals out of the hay that you are feeding them. But here's what you got to do. Okay, I take different vitamins and minerals than my wife does. And just like I probably take different ones than Dave does and other people. So how do I know if I've got the right vitamins and minerals? I know because my doctor did a blood test. He can see where I'm short, which I've always been short. But anyway, where I'm short on my vitamins and minerals, and tell me, okay, Steve, you need to have this, that, and the other, and away you go. So that's what you got to do. You need to take your mule, your donkeys, and have them do a blood test or a hair follicle test, and have them test it, and you will then know exactly what each mule needs. That's another reason why I tell you to keep them individual stalls, so that you can feed them accordingly, you can give them the vitamins and minerals accordingly, and you can take care of them accordingly, because each one is going to have some different needs.
Awesome. Very good. Let's see here. Want to say a hello to Ryan watching from a -8 dry northwest Iowa. Want to say hello to, David Scholl, 99 Fahrenheit here today. Thank you, David. Appreciate that for us Americans here. We're a little bit slower on the draw with Celsius. Sharon watching in Cumberland, Virginia. Got my come along rope, but everything is a sheet of ice, so not trying it yet, but can't wait. Good to hear that, Sharon. Make sure you keep us in the loop. Kiki, hey, Kiki, been a while since we heard from you. Watching from Milton, Florida. 23 degrees, feels like 10, and we have 6 inches of snow. Theodore has another question. My mule panics when I show her the saddle. Any ideas on what to do?
Well, you know, that can come a lot of ways. Okay, is this a young mule that you're starting, or is it an older mule that's going? Okay, already. So I need to know about that. And when you say panic, are we saying trying to pull back and get away, or is it just like this? So we need a little bit more information to know what's going on. So age is going to be really important. Okay, if it's a young mule and you're just starting your saddling, you want to start slowly, using a surcingle to start with, using a come along rope to start with. Anything else, okay? And start small. Always think, build a foundation, okay? A foundation. Build a foundation. Go slow, a little piece at a time until you get there. A surcingle, you're going to tighten up the cinch on it, okay? There's one. Before that would be the come along rope. You can throw the come along rope over the mule's body, and you can pull up on them on the bottom and on the top, and you can get them to feel it that way. You can even take a cinch and tie on one end and throw that cinch over and then pull it up against the belly and let him feel the cinch. You see, a lot of times it's things like that that scares them. Now, an older mule, let's say the older mule sees the saddle coming. He's going, oh man, my back's going to hurt again. Oh no, I don't want to do this again, and this sort of thing. So it could very well be, if you got an older mule, then you probably have some issues with the saddle fit, and that right there is going to cause the mule to be concerned, because they don't want to be hurt again, and they'll get to where I've even had some of my clients tell me they've had the saddle actually kicked out of their hands. Okay, now don't go running out and buying yourself a saddle and say, all right, it's going to fix the problem. No, go back and fix the problem, starting with a chiropractor, and get that all squared away. Talk to your vet, make sure his mechanical is good, get the teeth done, this sort of thing, before you start building your foundation with the saddle. So those are some questions we'll need to know, Dave.
All right, let's see. Haven't heard anything yet, but we will get back to it as soon as we hear from Theodore. Kenny is watching from Patton, Missouri, 2 degrees and sunny. I'm wondering if it matters or makes a difference on what side of the mule I install the come along, or should I rotate sides? Yes, it does. It's on the left side. And why is it that way, though, Steve? I can't remember, but I know it does matter.
Well, it's the reason that you can actually do it from either side, all right? But tradition always starts pretty much everything from the left-hand side. Can I put the come along on from the off side? That's the right side. Yes, I can. Can I put it on from the near side? Yes, I can. Okay. You can actually get the same thing done on the left hand side. You can still do all your work on the left hand side. But I also want to tell you, we spend too much time on the left hand side. Okay. Need to spend more time on the right hand side. Remember, they have 2 brains, a right and a left. And because of that, we need to make sure we have a foundation on both sides. Okay. Now, I personally like to saddle from the off side, okay, which is the right hand side. Looking from behind the mule, right side, left side, off side, near side. All right. So I like to come over and put the saddle on. The reason I can do that, I'll put the saddle on. Not only am I working with my right brain, but I can put all the cinches down nice. Make sure they're nice and flush. Make sure nothing's twisted. I can come around. I can kind of pull on my britch a little bit and get it ready. And then I can bring my back cinch up and I can snug it up. And then I can pull my breeching down. And then once that's done, then I'll snug up my back cinch just a little bit more. Then I'll snug up my front cinch. Then I'll put my breast collar on. Then I'll go in and get my bridle. And then I'll walk the mule around. I'll give him a nice little walk around. Okay. Make a nice circle. Let everything loosen up. Get to where it's going to be comfortable. And then I'll cinch up the back cinch again. Notice I do not cinch up my mule completely on with the first time while he's standing. I will cinch it up at least 3 times. 5 is the preference. But there you go. I kind of went into a little bit longer thing. But in other words, you want to train on both sides.
It's great. Going back to Theodore's question, 2 years old.
Oh, too well, yeah. Theodore, that mule's got every right to be jumpy and worried about it. Okay, especially if you do it like a lot of people, they go up like this and go to put it on. You actually have it on your side. Okay, and when you walk up, you kind of rub and pet on them, and then you take it from the side, and then you go up and then go down. Now, don't do like a lot of people, Theodore, where they say, I'm just going to use any old saddle as long as I get a saddle on its back. Well, here's the problem with that, okay? And this is really important, is that when you cinch it down, it's a horse saddle, and you cinch it down only using the front cinch, you're going to start creating problems because your mule is going to be very uncomfortable with that horse tree pounding on his back. Okay, he's going to be very uncomfortable if it's square skirted and this sort of thing, which we talked about, Dave, in this on this last pardon me, in this last show from last week about square skirting saddles and this sort of thing, where people think they got a mule saddle and they don't.
Yeah, I'll see if I can bring that up so we can go back to it. Steve, next question. This one comes in from Shay over on YouTube. Says, any advice on catching a mule that's in pasture and will just run off? And so my first comment is you can't catch an animal that's in pasture. Like they don't want to be caught, so they're going to run off. I suppose, would this be one of the instances where you might be inclined to use a treat to get them to come to you and teach them to come towards you, and then once they learn that, stop with the treats and get them in their own space? Is that how you would approach this?
That's one way to do it. The problem is the mule is looking at you, and you make a few steps toward him, he takes off. I don't care if you got your hand out there or not. Okay, so what I would do is I would run the mule into a smaller corral, and if you don't have one, make up something simple. Use 4 panels, and run them into that thing. Now, this is where an ATV comes in handy. Okay, because you can take that ATV and you can chase that mule around and get his lungs pounding, get his heart pounding, and he'll get to where you can just about move him around with that ATV and put him into the corral. But you can also, the easy way to do it is to build the corral, a 10 by 10 corral or 20 by 20, and you go ahead and start feeding it in there. And then that way you can walk up there while he's feeding and then close the gate. That's one way of doing it. Okay. There's a multitude. Number one, folks, you don't need your mules out on pastures. I know you got all that free feed out there, but all you're doing is creating yourself way too many headaches.
Very good. That's great. Thanks so much. Let's see. Saying hello to James. Actually, Matthew, watching on James's account, watching from Marshall, Arkansas, 22 degrees and sunny. James, I won't, or Matthew, I won't tell James unless you're the same person, then you already know. Daryl and Bobby Joe in Evergreen, Alabama, 23 and 5 inches of snow. Look at that. They're bragging all that snow they're getting right there in that cold, that hot weather compared to the cold Minnesota. Just trying to show up our friends up there. Tamar's watching from Queensland, Australia. Sunny and clear. Edna is watching from a cold Spring Hill, Florida, where it's 52 degrees. Steve, the next question that I have is, this one comes in from Ed. With this Arctic blast coming through, we're trying to make sure our minis stay warm at night. We live in the high desert of New Mexico, and it's going to get down to almost 0 over the next few days. The 2 of them are unclipped and neither old or sickly or underweight, and have grown a solid winter coat. They've destroyed their coats, so we are resorting to laying down shavings in their shelter to keep them warm out of the wind. Do you think they'll be okay? Or should I look to add another heat source or another blanket that will inevitably be destroyed again?
Now, folks, blankets are a waste of time. These mules roll a lot. Mules just love to roll, and they roll a lot. So yes, putting down shavings, putting down anything like that will be a place where they can lay down into. Some straw. You can put down a bale of straw as well, and that would make them comfortable. I have found that I've been up in Montana being 20 below hunting elk and this sort of thing, and I've seen all kinds of mules and horses and cattle out there, and they're just standing out there. They take it. Okay, I've seen my mules here at 120 degrees, and you think they'd be in the shade? Nope, they're out there in the sun. Okay, they're out there in the sun because there's flies in the shade, and there's no flies in the sun. So anyway, there you go. Now, don't just go ahead. And the other thing is too, folks, when you feed them for the winter, feed them a good hay roughage. They need roughage, not pellets. Not oats and this sort of thing. That's all it's going to do is create problems for you. So just some good plenty of hay. Don't put them on a bale of hay. I've seen people put a round bale out there, and them animals camp on it. When I was in Texas around Nacogdoches, I seen so many animals just camped on a round bale. Oh, that is so horrible for them. That is very unhealthy. It's kind of like you sitting in a smorgasbord and eating a smorgasbord every day and not doing much more than that. See how many pounds you gather up. I know I would gather a few pounds.
No.
Yeah.
Rory is watching, says, sorry I'm late. Rory, Southwest Ohio, clear and 3 degrees. Linda Gordon, howdy from Conway, New Hampshire. Very cold in the negative numbers. Stay warm there. Next question comes in from Jonathan. We're getting our property ready for the equines. My wife has been speaking to horse people a lot because she wants a horse and I want a mule. And everyone keeps saying the same thing. Your first horse, I'd always go with the most expensive. Have you found this to be true of your mules? How does the cost your first horse is always the most expensive. Have you found this to be true of your mules? How does the cost of owning a mule compare to that of a horse? Not just feed costs, but costs associated with health, accidental injuries, diet, all compared to a horse. I love watching you on YouTube and can't wait to order my saddle and equipment from you. Thank you for your time. You're the best. Jonathan, Steve's head just popped, or his hat just popped off his head. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Steve, what would you say?
So here it is, folks. When it comes down to these mules, I consider them to be an easier keeper. Okay. Now I can tell you though, I've had some mules brought to me to train. They're just flat pigs. Eat, 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 eat. That's all they think about. Okay. But once you get to riding them and getting them thinking different, that does help. Yes, your first animals are always expensive. Sometimes your heart speaks louder than your wallet does. But look, folks, just because somebody says that's a $10,000 mule and it's been in Colorado and he hunted elk with him and he crosses rivers and creeks and yada yada yada. Well, wait a minute. If he does all that stuff, why are you selling him? All right. Of course, a lot of people are traders, but why are they always telling you the good things and don't tell you some of the bad things that happen? Because bad things do happen. Yeah, they do. Lots of things can happen. Okay, so when it comes down to it, it's education, education, education. Watch videos, talk to people. Okay, take and watch there's a lot of people out there on with videos, and watch them and see what you can see and learn. Okay, remember my favorite mule, my best mule of all is disposition. Don't go buying color, don't go buying training, don't go buying he did whatever. You buy disposition. And I can tell you, I've got several clients, James Kimber for one, that was going to buy this mule. This guy really played it up. He showed the videos of this mule moving around a cow and showing a rope on him and all kinds of different things. But you know what? I seen through all the dog and pony show stuff that he was doing, and so you want to be careful. Okay, educate yourself. If you got something you want me to look at, send me a picture or a video. Be happy to look at it for you. I don't know where to tell you to go buy one, but I want you to educate yourself so you can make a good decision.
Steve, this next question comes in and says, my 8-year-old donkey has some spots of fur missing, mostly on his face, so I know it's not him pulling it out. Any ideas on what might be causing it? I live in upstate New York where temps have been below freezing for quite some time, so could I be ruling out a fungus? And I got a picture here. Can you see that there?
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, that could very well be a fungus. Um, that there is there any place around where the mule or the donkey, maybe you find some fur where you might be rubbing on a place, but that's kind of an area where you have the tear ducts, and it's kind of the wrong time of year for it. But I would say get a hair follicle test on it with your vet, and see what they have to say.
What kind of funguses are mules and donkeys apt to get? Is it just any and everything, or are they susceptible to anything in particular?
You know what the main thing is, especially when you get in a country like where she is, where there's high humidity, you got something called rain rot. Okay, and it basically it can even be on the back, really heavy. One of my mules, Tom, years ago, we had a lot of rains, and for some reason or another, he got rain rot, and it's just basically kind of a fungus built up, and hair started coming off, and this sort of thing. That area there, it could be a place where the donkey could be rubbing. So if you might look around for a place where some hair is missing, where some hair is, maybe tell you where he's rubbing. But what I do is I take a few hairs down to maybe your veterinarian, or maybe you got a college there that has an equine program, and they can check it out and see what it might be.
Steve, the next question comes in from P over on YouTube. Says, do you remove any teeth on a donkey? Also, do Molly mules have or need wolf teeth removal?
All of them need wolf teeth removal. Okay, mainly because that wolf teeth is in front of the molars, and that's kind of where your bit lies. And when they got their mouth closed, the bit ends up, because here's the molar tooth right here, and here's the bit right in this area. So when they actually close their mouth, this wolf tooth actually bumps onto the bit and makes him really uncomfortable. So yes, every equine should have their wolf teeth pulled. Now, John mules and donkeys, and your jack donkeys, all have what's called a canine down here in lower part. That is not a wolf tooth. Wolf tooth is a little small thing, kind of up top toward the top. A matter of fact, if you have any elk, they're called ivories, and they're quite sought after.
So, are the same teeth that you would remove from a donkey the same teeth you would remove from a mule?
Yep, yep,
Just
yep.
is it just the wolf teeth?
Just the wolf tooth only. Okay, and there's usually two of them, one on each side, upper part of the mouth, and it's just in front of the last molar. So you got your teeth comes along the side, and then the front there's the molars stop, and then there's an area that there's no teeth at all, and then you have your incisors.
All
So
right,
your front teeth and your back teeth. Okay.
all right.
So yeah, they you want to pull them, especially if you're going to be putting bits in their mouth.
Ivy is watching from Maine. -12 in the barn this morning, but it's 10 right now without the wind chill. Clear and cold. Beth is watching from, oh, hey, Queensland, Australia as well. Watching with David and Di Shoal. Visiting my young Molly for the first time from South Australia. 39 Celsius and humid. 5 of us gathered around the kitchen table, and listening. Hello to all of our friends in Queensland, Australia. Steve, send a message to our friends in Australia. Send them a good message.
There you go. Hey, I've sat around that table there with David and Di and eat some good meals. By golly, it's pretty dandy. So if you're with David and Di, you're with absolutely the best people in Australia. They are number one, and they love working with people and helping them out. It's amazing. That Di, she's got some incredible dogs. My goodness, she makes a dog with a poodle, okay, with a poodle, and she's got all kinds of crosses with these, and they're really interesting dogs. labradoodles, they call them. She was talking about doing a border doodle, but Jess didn't think that was too good of an idea. But
Yeah,
yep, that's
if
cream
y'all
of the
don't
crop.
know, Jess, the border collie, he's the one pulling the strings around here. He's the
Yeah.
one getting it. He tells us where to sit. He tells us where to look, and he's dictating what we say. So Jess is really the one that pulls the strings around here. So you hear Jess barking, just know that that's the boss right there. Smith has a question. Says I have two male donkeys, both gelded. One of them, or one is two. The other is around 6. The 2-year-old was human raised. The 6-year-old was a Bureau of Land Management Rescue, BLM. Both are human friendly, funny, and sweet. I'd love to hear some of their jokes, but they have started to avoid each other, kick, buck, ears back when around each other. The young one hides from the older one and seemingly genuinely unhappy. They have plenty of hay, get high fiber, low sugar pellets once a day. Main aggression shows at pellet time, which is okay, I get that. But the avoidance and mutual dislike seems to be getting more prevalent during the day. Any suggestions? My first thought is to remove pellets, but they are only getting them while it's cold, so I can remove pellets and increase hay. Just want to see if the sub had any, or just wanted to see if any others had suggestions or similar experiences. Now, for a second, I thought this was a dad of boys asking a question. The young one hides from the older one, seems genuinely unhappy. Main aggression. So it is
Sounds like
about
a side
equine.
house.
Could be about my 3 boys. Let's see what advice we have and if any of it can cross effect.
Oh, Mule guy, I know you got this one here. I know you got this one. I mean, you know, it's
So
it.
all right. So I'll attempt it here. Number one, good that you got them both gelded because that's the number one thing when they show aggression. So take that off the plate. As soon as those testicles drop, you get them castrated. It's called brain surgery. Now, when it comes to the others, there is a possibility that they're just going to be genuinely unfriendly towards one another, but keep them in separate stalls. They don't need to be together. They don't. There's no reason for them to be together. If you keep them in separate stalls, not only is that going to be better for you, because they're going to be looking upon you to be the provider for everything. They're going to be looking at you for leadership, you for food, you for water, you for care. But you're going to be able to evaluate them, monitor them, know exactly what feed and nutrition they're getting, and that makes for a happier animal in the long run. Yeah, there's some where they just aren't going to get along, so keep them away from one another. But if you have them in separate stalls in the first place, it's not going to be much of an issue. Now that's what I would do. Steve, he did mention, and it looks like he's feeding on pellets. He's staying away from rich hyper feed. He says he's got them on hay. So anything else that you would add to that?
No, basically, you done the first steps, Dave, of what to do to keep them safe. Okay, and yes, what do we always talk about when it comes to mules and donkeys? Somebody has to be the herd leader. Okay, and that's what's happening here. This is the equine world. You have two, especially two Johns, which are two male donkeys, which we actually call them jacks. But they are setting up a pecking order. And it happens to be that the older one right now is saying, I am the top of the pecking order, and you are going to be the bottom of the pecking order, and I will do whatever. And yes, they will fuss over feed. Okay. You need to absolutely put them in separate places to where they can each individually get their feed. The younger is going to need a different diet than the older one, for sure. Okay. But why are they doing it? Pecking order. It's called who is the top of the pecking order? What's it called? Leader. Mule leader. Or donkey leader. Okay. Which you need to end up being. So Dave did you right, and he told you how and why. Okay. But one of the reasons, the number one reason, and that's why I tell you all, don't have your animals together. It's probably the probably the biggest reason is because they bite and kick each other, especially at feeding time. I have to tell you about a story about my friend in Arkansas when I was visiting Steve Ham. They actually had to put down one of their really nice horses because they ended up putting them together to feed, and one of them got him kicked, and he ended up getting a side bone, and he was crippled. Ended up putting him down.
Yeah. Do what's best for them, keep them
Yep.
safe, and do what's best for your leadership. Keep them dependent upon you. All right, I'm learning
Yep.
a thing or two. I'm picking up one or two things. Here we go. Let's see here. What is so we're talking about feed? Uh, NC said, looking for a good feed that I can get from TSC. I don't know what that is. Currently have to go to that's a store. Currently have to go to a different store to get a tribute feed for a mini donkey that's pregnant and nursing. The foal is only 3 months old and still nursing. What would you recommend a feed for this mini in this situation?
Well, what you're doing right now, feeding that baby is the most important. Of course, always good quality hay, but I think they're talking about Tractor Supply there. And of course, if they go to my website and they read the article, Mules Can't Stand Prosperity, they'll see an article there and they'll see ingredients of what I like to start with is my beginning feeding, how I feed them and what I feed them in that ingredients. You can go to a milling company and you can have your feed made, folks, and it does good. But with your baby there, that baby needs a different nutrition than what they would what your other animals would be needing.
Great. Let's see here. Got that one. Oh, here's another one. This was the winter question. This one comes in from Fife. Fife says, what do you use for keeping weight on in the winter? Now he's talking about for his donkeys, not for himself. So he's not trying to. We don't need help keeping weight on in the winter. That comes as it goes.
Yeah.
But what is your suggestion for keeping weight on the winter?
Well, the main thing is donkeys are really easy to take care of anyway. But the main thing is they have plenty of roughage, a good quality hay that they can eat because that's what creates heat, which then keeps them warm. Okay, not blankets and this sort of thing, but a good quality hay, and then some place to kind of get in and out of the weather where they can get a wind break and this sort of thing is really good. So that would be my suggestion for you.
Is that the same? Is that mules, donkeys, horses across the board?
Yeah, yeah. Really, during the wintertime, they just the only thing they need is roughage. They just need some way to keep them warm, and that's what roughage does. It goes into the large and small intestines, and it's rubbing the insides with and when it's coming down, working its way out to the tail end, and as it's doing that, those nutrients and this sort of thing are keeping the animal warm, and they're comfortable and this sort of thing. But it's mainly a good hay, good roughage is what you want during the wintertime.
Great. Next question. This one comes in from Mo. We've had our female donkey Maggie for about 1.5 years now. She's 7. When we first rescued her, she was skittish, but still let us get in pets and the occasional hug. Where I think we went wrong was the first farrier visit. The halter wasn't really the issue, but she very much resisted being held in place by the lead and got pretty upset and insistent. We let it go because her hooves were fine. Since then, she is very curious and not ever aggressive. She will take treats from our hands, but she will not let us touch her. She backs away and leaves if we push at all. Other than being gentle around her, giving her treats, and being patient, what do we do? How do I gain her trust? She needs her hooves trimmed, but she won't let us handle her. What's the best way to work with her? So,
Okay.
Steve, can I answer and see?
Yeah.
Like,
Perfect.
this is what I would do, and I'm curious what you would have me do differently. First off, um, get her in a 10 by 20 stall so that immediately you become the thing that she is dependent upon. She's dependent upon you for water, for food, for attention, for whatever. Once you do that, then you start ground foundation training and you get yourself the come along rope And if you have any problems getting that come along rope on her, you start to make her uncomfortable. And we've got some videos of showing Steve making the animal uncomfortable. You learn to read the body language. You learn to read the signs of when it's okay to approach, and visiting hours are on and visiting hours are off. And you get up to the point where you can get that come along rope on her and begin communicating to the nose. There's all sorts of different exercises you can do that, but start to establish a foundation. That's going to get you halter trained to the point where now, when you have the farrier come out, or you have to do vet work, or you want to do training, she's going to respect the halter and she's going to respect you as the herd leader. So it's not so much about, creating a relationship where it's like you're petting them and like, oh yes, they love you. And it's not a dog. It's an equine, it's livestock. And so you want to get them on that come along rope as soon as possible to start communicating to the nose, because they care more about their nose than anything else, and get them to the point where when they're starting to do any type of work, you're timing and they do anything you don't want them to do, bump. That way they know, okay, if I stay straight, my nose ain't going to be sore. I guess I just have to let them work on my feet. That's what I would do. Steve, what would you have me adjust there?
Perfect. I think you did it just right. They have to be. I found a 10x20 gives me a lot of control with my animals. Okay. Nice thing about the come along rope is when they're standing still and they're kind of stuck in one corner and they're worried, you can take that come along rope. It's the extension of your hand, and you can just throw it out there. Okay. Throw it out there on their back and on their neck and this sort of thing. Folks, your come along rope is your friend. It's the best communication tool you have. It works good for everything. Listen, you can't keep on sneaking up on the mule, trying to be gentle, okay? Because here's what happens. They know your next step before you even do your next step. They already know it. So you have to change your patterns. You have to change what you do, okay? And watching those videos, like Dave is saying here, that's going to open your eyes. It's going to be a good one, okay? I've also got a video of me where I was going to pick up the back foot of a mule, and it went to fight me, okay? And you'll see in there how that come along rope, it changes everything.
Yeah, it really does. It is your direct line of communication. It allows you to do things that you would never be able to do without it. Let's see here. Jim is watching from a Western Maryland, -6 degrees. And let's see here. Steve, you sent me a picture. Let me bring it up here. You sent me a great picture. I want you to tell me what we're looking at here. What are we celebrating?
I tell you what, I love these folks that they love to ride. Got a little snow on the ground, that's okay. We're gonna go ride anyway. He put some warm clothes on, and off he went. You gotta love it when you love riding that much. You're not just a fair weather rider. You want to get on your mule and go. And look at that mule. The mule's comfortable. He's got his right ear thinking about the rider, and the rider's got his nice warm clothes on. His tail's hanging loose. He's got a couple inches of snow in there, but by golly, I'm going to get me a mule ride in today, snow or not. And this guy here, he sent me some pictures of an elk hunt that he was on there as well. And he's my kind of cowboy, a mule rider, I should say. By golly, makes no difference. I just want to go ride my mule.
It really is fun seeing all these photos come in, and it's been a lot of fun to share them at the end of every program. Folks, if you've got one, send in an email to support@muleranch.com, or you can send them to Steve too. Talk to him, steve@muleranch.com. We'll continue to share them. Steve, the hour has gone by so quickly. Can you hear me?
But we're moving very slowly. That's all right. Watch
Okay,
this finger.
here, hold on.
God bless you, my son. Hey, didn't we have an awesome inauguration? Huh? I mean, he laid it on the line right off the bat. This is what we're going to do. And an hour later, it was getting done. You know, man, there was no messing around.
He's got a big, bold vision. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he's got a. I watched it. He's got a big, bold vision, and I'm excited to see what these first 90 days look like. Sorry about that there with the audio, Steve. Anything you want to say before we're all done today?
No, we're good. Just keep praying for America. Remember, God chooses. Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. Okay, that's really, really important. I've had people tell me, "Hey, oh, Steve, you talk too much about religion." I don't talk about religion. I talk about a way of life, and that's my way of life. Mules are my way of life. I love it, but I've got a Savior number one. So, hey, happy trails to everybody. Have a good one.
Thank you, everyone. We're so glad that you're here. Don't forget, coming clinics, a lot of good stuff on the docket for this year. I hope you will join us. And yeah, we'll see you next week. God bless. Bye bye, everybody.